Alrighty, so I have turned my frequency separation technique into an action. So what I'm going to do is just run it. Okay, the only additional thing you need to do now is, I'll get rid of that. If you click on the tone blend layer and hit Shift Control N to add an extra layer, and I call it soft, actually I called it powder skin, and I hit OK. So I have a powder skin layer here, and then I add a mask to it. Okay, then I start off by turning off the skin texture layer and looking at the skin tones, and then blending some of those skin tones. So I go to my skin tone blend mask, not the layer, the mask, and then with a soft brush, 60% opacity, white brush, I just blend in those tones a bit. Okay, there's not that bad on the tones, but we do have a bit of discoloration. So what we're going to do is then go to our powder skin layer, not the mask, the layer. We're going to take the eyedropper tool, so I for eyedropper, or it's right here, the eyedropper tool, and we're going to select an area that's nice and a color that we want to reproduce. So we click around here, then we go to our brush, soft brush at 30% opacity. Okay, and on the layer we simply paint on.
Can you make your necklace? It's for you. When it says mom.
Okay, so we just paint on. Just to even it out. Okay, you'll see that we're losing a bit of highlights. We're going to have to bring that back in with some dodge and burn later. Okay, so I turn the texture back on and we look at the before and after, before and after. We might leave that off for now because we still want those highlights, but we'll see how we go. Now we go on to the skin texture layer, not the mask, the layer, and then we're going to start off by using the patch tool, or you can use the stamp if you want, but I'm going to use the patch tool. It's J for patch tool, or you can go over here, right click and select patch tool, and then it's just a simple matter of select, drag and drop. So select, drag and drop, and it's gone. So that's what we're going to do. Just quickly. Now most of these tonal changes are on the texture layer. So if I turn off the texture layer, you'll see that the tones are perfectly smooth. So the changes are actually on the texture layer. So we'll have to deal with that on this particular layer. And drag and drop, oopsie, drag and drop, drag and drop. Same thing. Alrighty. So usually start from an area that has nice skin, and then slowly you'll bring it down. Same thing with this particular area. Okay, so back to it. So basically you're selecting an area that you want to replace and you're dragging it onto an area you want to replace it with. Pretty simple. Okay. Woohoo. Oh, the joys of children in the background. Okay, so
Some parents don't know how to walk. They sit over.
yes, it's school holidays. Yay to me. Oopsie. All right. Okay. So we've got the before and after. All right, so we still got a bit of discoloration, which is okay. Okay, so we still got a bit of discoloration, marbling, but it's a lot better than before. So before and after. So what we're going to do next is we're going to use our stamp tool. So S for stamp, or right click, clone stamp tool, and 100% opacity, 9% flow. You can click on anywhere. So holding down Alt, click to select, and then just slowly paint. That's it. So Alt, click, paint, Alt, click, paint, Alt, click, paint. Might make this one a little bit smaller. Alt, click, paint. Just very slowly. Okay, might go. So I'm going to select from here this time. Alt, click, just to give it more smoothness. Alt, click. Oops, don't want the eye. Alt, click. Alt, click. Alt, click. Okay, might do the nose a little bit. Just paint wherever you see fit. There we go. So wherever you deem fit. Now this is looking pretty smooth, so if we close up, before and after. But this baby's skin was already smooth initially, so as you can see, it's all smooth. So there's not much texture to pick up anyway. So there we have it. So the before and after, before and after. Okay, the additional thing you can do now, if you do want more smoothness in that skin, is on the skin texture mask, not the layer, the mask, what we're going to do is B for brush, soft brush, 30% opacity, black brush, and now we're going to paint off additional texture. So that will really give you a smooth porcelain skin. Normally if the skin's still got texture, the skin texture is still retained, it's just softened. But in this case, we don't have much texture to work with. All right, and the great thing about this particular action or particular technique is if you feel like you've overdone it, you just simply need to change your brush back to white and you can just paint it all back on again so you don't lose anything, or if you change your mind. So I'm just going to go J patch tool on the skin texture layer just for this little piece, escape, and then it's completely up to you how far you want to take this. And there we have it. The before and after, and then you can add some dodge and burn on that. So to add some burn curves, okay, one way you can do it is click on the pointy thing. That's the technical term for it, the pointy thing. Okay, so once it's enabled, find an area that's got shadow on it. Click, hold, and drag down. Okay, then what I do is with the paint bucket, so G for paint bucket, with the black paint bucket, I just simply paint over the mask, turn it black, and then with a soft brush, white brush at 30% opacity, I can paint back some of those shadows and dark areas. Okay, that's a bit too much, make it smaller. Now I know that's looking like a little bit too much. There's a couple of things you can do rather than adjusting the curve. Yeah, that's way too much. Is obviously reduce the opacity of the total curves. And then you can blur it. So blur, Gaussian blur. And just bring it back to where you see fit. Okay. So before and after.